Nearly 3 decades after its release, Chrono Trigger is still widely considered one of the greatest RPGs ever made. And that's not unusual. There are a lot of classic games that are still remembered fondly. But Chrono Trigger feels different. Because even today, it doesn't just feel important. To me, it still feels perfect. So the question is, why? That's what we're going to take a look at today, and that's going to be the subject of this video. Why Chrono Trigger still feels perfect today. It's easy to assume that Chrono Trigger's reputation is driven by nostalgia. But when you actually go back and play it again, something becomes very clear. This isn't just a great game for its time. It's a game built on a series of incredibly intentional design decisions. Choices that still hold up even when compared to modern RPGs. And when you start to look at those choices more closely, you begin to understand why Chrono Trigger still feels perfect today. One of the first things you notice when playing Chrono Trigger is just how quickly everything moves. Within the first hour of the game, you've already explored the Millennial Fair, been put on trial, escaped from prison, and traveled through time multiple times. There's no slow build, no extended tutorial section, no filler content stretching things out. The game trusts you to learn as you go, and because of that, it maintains a constant sense of momentum. In a lot of modern RPGs, the early game can feel like a barrier you have to push through. But in Chrono Trigger, it feels like the adventure starts immediately and never really slows down. Combat is another reason why Chrono Trigger still feels smooth today. Unlike many RPGs from the same era, Chrono Trigger doesn't rely on random battles. Enemies are usually visible on the map, which means you often have a sense of when a fight is coming. That small change makes a huge difference. Battles feel less like interruptions and more like part of the world itself. Enemies move into position, the characters draw their weapons, and the fight begins without cutting away to a completely separate battle screen. That helps the game maintain momentum. The text system also keeps combat interesting without making it overly complicated. Single text give each character a clear identity. While dual text and triple text encourage you to experiment with different party combinations. You're not just choosing characters based on stats. Instead, you're thinking about how they work together. And because most battles are quick, combat rarely feels like it is slowing the adventure down. It supports the pacing instead of fighting against it. That's one of the reasons Chrono Trigger still feels so polished today. The combat is strategic enough to be satisfying, but streamlined enough to stay out of the way. Time travel is central to Chrono Trigger's story, but what makes it special is how it's used as a gameplay mechanic. Your actions in one period directly affect what happens in another. Planting a forest in the past changes the future. Charging the Sunstone across centuries unlocks powerful equipment. Even something as simple as sealed chests becomes a clever, time-based puzzle. These aren't just story moments. They're systems the player actively engages with. And because of that, the world feels responsive in a way that few RPGs have ever matched. As the game progresses, Chrono Trigger begins to open up in a really interesting way. Once you gain access to Epoch's full capabilities, you're given a surprising amount of freedom. At this point, you can explore side quests, find equipment to strengthen your party, or even go straight to the final boss. The game doesn't force you down a single path. It gives you options. And because of that, every playthrough can feel slightly different. This kind of design encourages exploration, rewards curiosity, and gives players a sense of ownership over their experience. Chrono Trigger has some of the most memorable characters in video game history. Each character has a clear identity, a purpose in the story, and a meaningful role in the world. What's interesting is that the game doesn't rely on long monologues or heavy exposition. Instead, it uses small, focused moments to build the characters. Examples of this include Frog's story of redemption, Robo's quiet reflection on time and existence, and Magus's connection to the larger story. These moments are simple, but they are effective. And because they are not over-explained, they leave a lasting impression. One of the most memorable parts of Chrono Trigger is its incredible soundtrack. Each time period has its own identity, supported by distinct music and atmosphere. You have the calm, reflective tone of the end of time, the upbeat energy of Guardia, and the almost surreal feeling of the Kingdom of Zeal. These tracks don't just accompany the game, they define it. And even years later, they're instantly recognizable. Chrono Trigger is designed to be replayed. With New Game Plus, multiple endings, and different paths through the game, there's always something new to discover. You can make different choices, try different party combinations, or approach the story in a completely different way. And because the game is relatively concise, replaying it never feels overwhelming. When you look at all of these elements together, something becomes clear. Chrono Trigger doesn't feel perfect because it does everything. It feels perfect because it does exactly what it needs to do. and nothing more. There's no wasted design, no unnecessary systems. Every mechanic, every moment, every decision serves the experience. And that level of focus is incredibly rare, especially when the game was first released. All of the reasons listed above are the reason why many folks consider this one of the greatest video games ever made, and it often appears on many top 10 lists of the greatest games ever created. And that's why, even after all these years, Chrono Trigger still feels so special. Not just because of what it is, but because of how intentionally it was designed. What do you think makes Chrono Trigger feel so timeless? Is there a moment, mechanic, or detail that really stood out to you? I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this, so be sure to leave a comment. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more deep dives into classic RPGs like this, consider hitting that subscribe button. Believe me, there's a lot more on the way. And if you haven't seen it yet, you can also check out my video on hidden details in Chrono Trigger, where we take a closer look at some of the smaller things the game does so well. But until the next time we meet, this is BCS Buster signing off. Don't forget to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter at BCSBusterLP, follow me at Twitch, twitch.tv/BCSBuster. Check out all the ways you can support the channel in the video description below. Not only do using those promo codes help save you money, but they help me grow the channel as well. And until the next time we meet, take care, y'all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.